Hello, I am Tom.
Hey,
I'm Yo-
I'm Rob, Lady Atheism here.
and I'm Johanan.
And today, welcome to our sixth podcast, I believe. Man, it's been a while. I've been wanting to do this for a while right now, and I kind of went back and forth for what to do. I decided that I kind of wanted to do maybe one on Anti-Season X, but Johan, you kind of beat me to it with your new video that came out. So, so I just go back to this right here. I wanted to do at the end of the last podcast with National Channel, and there's actually quite a bit I didn't think of to say on that last one, but for now we'll focus on this one. The Messianic Manic's second response to inspiring philosophy is atheism, a delusion. Now, before we begin, I saw this video a while back, probably beginning of the new year, and just was an hour long on Messianic Manic's channel, just recently uploaded just an hour ago. And when I was watching, I was thinking maybe he actually did a pretty good job at making some points. I actually went back to saw Inspiring Philosophy's channel through Messianic Manic, so I went over there. But when I did, I found that Inspiring Philosophy had a lot more research, a lot more reasoning to it. And over the past few months, I decided to move to theism because of that. So you could say Messianic Manic played a role. Are you okay, John?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, then. It's just strange because it came out the same night that Inspiring Philosophy made his video. So I'm kind of thinking he didn't really take his time with this, and it really does show. Have any of you seen this? It's called Inspiring Philosophy is Jerking Us Around Again.
Yes.
Right. Before we begin, any thoughts on it?
It's been a while, but yeah.
Been a while. We should probably research again right now. Also, I wanted to have Mike on here, but unfortunately couldn't make it. But I was also trying to get Leo on here, and been talking for a little bit. I guess I should just talk right now about him because Johanan, is it true that Leo was a spy for you? That's what he's been telling me over Facebook.
Yeah, for a bit.
For a bit? So
Yeah.
how many atheists did he spy on exactly? He said he had different channels too.
That is undisclosed.
Okay. Yeah, he said it's fine to talk about a little bit. He just doesn't want anyone to know his real name, which I don't even know right now.
For my purposes, that's undisclosed. So.
Okay, that's fine. But anyways, I guess we'll talk about it a little later. He helped me realize something in the comments section, which I was surprised about, actually. So first I didn't understand it, but now it actually reveals something very shocking that all of us do know about Messianic Manic, but the rest of the world seems to be blind about. Without further ado, let's start with the podcast, okay?
Equivocation fallacy, where you redefine how someone is using a term. For example, if an atheist said the Bible evolved over time, it would be wrong for me to object by saying this is false because a document is not a biological organism that changes through generations. The atheist would obviously not be claiming the Bible evolved like an organism does. In the same way, this response video is committing an equivocation fallacy. Again, what is the context of my first video, guys? We are talking about delusions that would be the result of wishful thinking, abnormal brain functions, or a mental disorder. We are asking whether religious experience is a delusion like you get from a mental disorder, which should be abnormal brain functioning.
Well, then wishful thinking shouldn't be lumped in there because wishful thinking is not abnormal at all.
Now, I want to pause this for a second right here. And well, Messianic Manic is kind of right on this, but this is a bit nitpicky though, because wishful thinking can be abnormal. I mean, for example, if someone, say, stole someone's money and then they're telling themselves they didn't do it, they're denying themselves an obvious truth, it can work in that context. But again, that's a big nitpick, right? Yeah. Me and Max Copeland from the Escaping Atheism was on here last time talking about that too. But anyways, let's just continue on here.
Merriam-Webster defines a delusion as either a belief that is not true, which is the broader use of the term, or a false idea or belief that is caused by a mental illness.
Your first video said that atheists claim that religion is a delusion, and you rebut that by saying that religion is not a delusion because it is not outside the range of normal brain function. So when you said that religion is not a delusion, you used the clinical definition of.
Now, I want to stop this right here. And I want to show that Messianic Manic is actually taking something out of context. He's leaving one word out of here that's very important for the argument. Right here, he's claiming to say that your first video says that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion. Well, let's go back to that. as I've been watching this old video from Inspiring Philosophy and been finding that he left one detail out of this.
To the ironic surprise of many atheists, who claim religion is an unnatural delusion that must be eradicated.
Now, I want everyone to hear that. Do you hear that? Unnatural delusion. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, listen, this is why IP was clear in his original video. He said it was unnatural. Not just a general delusion, he said it was unnatural. He made himself very clear in this point. And the reason I bring this up is because IP did mention this. And then when I was talking to Leo about this, he actually told me to go in the comments section really quick. So let's, on this channel right here, let's see. It would be somewhere underneath here. Him and Messiah Manic were arguing over this, and I was wondering why Leo was bringing this up until he explained it to me, and I actually figured out there's actually big points to this. And it actually does show Messiah Manic lying or denying something very obvious in this conclusion. As soon as this loads here. It's finally all done right here. Now, as I'm going through this, there's even some comments on here to actually try to prove Messiah Manic's wrong in the first place. So I think a lot of people are now wising up. One comment actually says, I actually lost intelligence by watching this video. This is so cringe. There's one from Max Copley right there. And I went down here. Okay, it's under the thinking man. Ah, here it is. All right. Now, Leo and Messiah Manic are arguing right here. Whereas everyone can see this. Right under here, it says that he's been trying to convince Messiah Manic, saying that no, he said atheists are wrong to say that religion is an unnatural delusion, meaning a delusion caused by abnormal brain function, not a general one. Saying, see, you just lied again. But Messiah Manic replies by saying never said anything to the contrary. But yes, you did, replies Leo. In this video, you said at 1:23, your first video said that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion. No, he said atheisms are the ones to say that religion is a unnatural delusion. You just lied again. But what was his response? Which is exactly what I claimed. He said, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not at all. If it goes down here, he says, no, read what I said. Your first video said that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion, and IP said atheism is the one to say religion is an unnatural delusion. As we go right here, yes, that is exactly what I claimed he said. This is exactly what I pointed out when I said your first video said that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion. He's missing right there the word unnatural. Now, I don't see how he can possibly miss that. Does he think it's the same thing?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, general delusion, a normal delusion, but it's very different from an unnatural one. The word unnatural is different. It means something that's not natural. And a general delusion is something that a lot of these atheists were trying to argue to IP in the first place, saying that he wasn't clear enough. He was using the general normal definition of delusion. There's two ways to define it. But when IP is saying that atheism is unnatural, and it's hard to accept atheism, it works against our cognitive function. I'm just surprised how atheists just skipped this over and how people didn't go back and point this out. It even says right here, that says, yes, exactly what I claimed right here. This is exactly the point I made when I said your first video said that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion. Now, Messiah Manic still claimed you seem to be misreading my comments as saying your first video says that religion is a delusion. No, he didn't. Look what Leo said up there. It says, he said, and I quote, your first video said that atheism claims that religion is a delusion. All right? So he's not misreading anything. But when Messiah Manic tries to reply again and goes, what I actually said was your first video said that atheism claimed that religion is a delusion. That right there is exactly what Leo said. Do you see how petty this is? You can't reason with this guy. It is.
Well, in my experience, he makes up he makes up arguments for things.
Well,
like,
that's what
the fact. Like it's just for the purpose. It's why he won't debate people. Is he can't come up with this stuff on the spot. He wants to be right, so he'll make up what he wants to be true.
Am I wrong?
He makes up arguments to support what he wants to be true.
Right. Am I wrong seeing this? Am I missing something? Because he's denying this.
Well, I like what Johanan was saying. I mean, even if you catch him dead to rights, he'll throw in something from way out of left field.
By the way, I want to bring up something that Leo found out while spying on TMM.
Oh, really? Go ahead.
Turns out that he had that video he made on idealism way back, and he said he knew that this is what Leo told me, is that TMM knew that he didn't really have a strong case, but he was trying to twist the language so that his fan base would buy it.
On what topic again?
Yeah, what was that?
It was on idealism.
Well, yeah, that's obvious. He twists everything.
Yeah, but he actually admitted to this. Like, he admitted to this because he didn't have a really strong argument. He was just making this up.
Oh, he admitted to. Oh, wait.
Leo spied on him and figured this out.
All right, then. Oh, wait a second. Is this Leo or another one of his channels? I forget because
it could have been either. I mean, he used a number of,
Okay. Didn't tell me exactly that, but that's very interesting. But I think it's obvious to know he twists people's words around. I mean, right there, we just showed that he's lying right there, and I'm surprised he overlooks that. This is why he doesn't want to talk to people online because, and you.
Well, you can't. I mean, think about when you do this. You can sit behind a computer and make a drafted script, right? That you can read off to your, and you can sit there and think of, well, if someone stumps you, you can come up with some kind of counter argument, right?
Right.
So because of this, he doesn't have to debate people.
Yeah,
if he doesn't debate people. He can just do this approach of sitting there and manipulating the language to make it sound good to his fan base, which then buys their lemmings anyway. Which I proved that in a recent video, or not a recent, an older video actually. So they just eat this up, and he doesn't have to look stupid being demonstrated. These are all just concocted arguments he's making.
I think it's obvious right now, yeah. And
in fact, I'm sure TMM is going to see this video, right? I mean, this is directed at him.
Yeah.
No one's ever done this before. He refuses to debate IP, right? Because he says IP just makes stuff up on the spot, right?
Yeah.
So I have my science, I have all my science, research. I have my philosophy research. You can't accuse me of making stuff up. If anyone, I'm probably the most. I use the most citations of any theist on. I mean, whether not necessarily citations in the the video descriptions, but I can link you to the citations. I use the most peer-reviewed science of anyone and philosophy of anyone on YouTube in the theist community.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So I'm gonna. That being the case, TMM cannot accuse me of that, okay? I don't make up stuff on the spot.
No, I know you can research this stuff. That's very obvious,
that
too.
Being the case, TMM has no excuse not to debate me.
Well,
however, I've never yet actually challenged him to a debate, so he has that excuse.
Yeah, because last time you said you want to have a discussion with him on.
I'm taking away that excuse now.
Okay. Well,
TMM, I'm challenging you to a debate, and you have no excuse not to accept.
Well, he said in one video this is a really old video he had when he was trying to deny Inspired Philosophy's debate, saying he doesn't want to deal with someone with BS assertions and people just making crap up immediately. He even says at the end of that video, calling IP saying, "No, you're an effing idiot. Quarks are made of matter." And
yeah, but the point is he doesn't have that excuse with me because I can back everything up.
Well,
it's not made up. It's not made up on the spot. It's not made up at all. I can link this stuff to actual physics and philosophy.
I don't think he'll come on here, but I'd be surprised if he did. But
but the point is, I want to point out that he has no excuse not to come on here anymore.
All right, then. Well, let's get back to the video really quick.
Definition of delusion. But the title of that video asks whether atheism is a delusion, and you said that it requires hard cognitive work in order to be an atheist. Do you think this corroborates the idea that atheism is a delusion? If you do, then you are no longer using the clinical definition. You switch to the more general definition. You're saying that religion is not a delusion according to the clinical definition, but implying that atheism is a delusion by the non-clinical definition. So who is the one equivocating here?
Now, I want to point out something right here. He only uses one of Inspired Philosophy's examples, his evidence for why atheism is a delusion. He used the one where it takes hard cognitive function to overcome atheism. And I know the Rational Channel skipped this, but if you go right here, he gives another piece of evidence that I think all of them look over completely. Really, this is actually, I think, one of IP's strongest evidence right here for it.
Consciously not aware of it. In a similar study, Pascal Boyer equally states that disbelief is generally the result of deliberate, effortful work against our natural cognitive dispositions, hardly the easiest ideology to propagate.
Now, I read this article right here, and it talks a lot about how our natural belief in God is very intuitive and works with our cognitive brain function. It actually showed that modern culture is more of an answer than just some sort of byproduct of evolution. And even stating that disbelief, like we just read, is generally the result of efforts work against our cognitive function, our natural cognitive function. So basically, atheism, for the most part, I would say that is really unnatural. I wouldn't say all atheists think this way, but I think for the most part it does. And then everyone skips this one. Every atheist video I see respond to Inspired Philosophy on Atheism and Delusion, they skip this part. And I've noticed this. Just like when Messianic Manic didn't mention that IP claim to say that atheism is the one to say it's an unnatural delusion. And he does say, Inspired Philosophy does say in this that atheism is unnatural. He says this so many times in the video. Everyone seems to forget that one completely. It's also said by another neurologist, Johanan. There's another one, a few other ones I read, that some of these papers even suggest that atheism is almost impossible to accept based on our way of thinking. Some of them don't even believe it exists. And it's just, also, there's a problem with Messianic Manic's reasoning right there. He says, the title you reveal says atheism is a delusion, and he's judging that by title instead of the evidence he has, all right? And, you should look for the evidence inside of the video, not just the title by it. I mean, for the sake of argument, let's say he's right, that the title could have been changed. Even if so, you could have looked up the research that clearly says stuff like this on here. And I want to bring something up right here. In this right here, he labeled the video, is a fetus a person, all right? Made a question mark, and he's asking in a question, is a fetus a person? But then I want to go to right here on one of our old podcasts, this little clip right here that he says.
I just want to pause and look at the title. It says, is a fetus human? And that's just, that's an unscientific sort of thing if you're trying to question that.
I'm not trying to question that. The whole point of that video is that a fetus is human, but that this is irrelevant. A corpse is human too. The fact that an organism is human per se is not what gives it moral value.
Now listen to what he said right there. I'm not trying to question that. Really, Messianic Manic, but right here, it's a question. Is a fetus inhuman? So you're being misleading with your video. It should have said, yes, a fetus is human, but still irrelevant, or it doesn't matter to human. You could have labeled that differently. I could do that with his own logic, his own reasoning with them. Also, by the way, I've been researching this too. A corpse is not considered human at all. Matter of fact, right here, it says that, whatever, I bring it up. I'm looking this up right here on NCBI, public domain, the legal statements of human corpse, that human corpse presented a number of different difficulties in which with involves that of legal state. A human being, once dead, is considered only as weight of material. Though it may have been living at one time, a corpse is not in part of a human being anymore. Legal human rights only apply to living humans and not to corpses. So in that, Messianic Manic is wrong. You can look this up easily. Again, he misses the mark completely on this. Also, he did a video called Everything is Murder. I don't know if you've seen that. Have any of you seen that video?
Nope.
Right. Well, he's arguing against someone who's arguing for abortion. And this person on here stands saying that if abortion is murder, because once you pretty much destroy this fetus, then the particles disintegrate and demolish everything and it falls apart. And Messianic Manic's rebuttal to that is, yes, but that happens every time you eat a sandwich or step on ground, you're rearranging those particles. So clearly what this nut job is saying is that everything you do is worse than murder. I mean, because then it would be like Genesis. And he's arguing against that. Now, the title of this video is saying everything is murder. Now I want to ask him, I want to ask Messianic Manic, do you think this is appropriate title for the video? If you do, well then your video is saying everything is murder, as if it's true. Your video should have said, no, not everything is murder. Or, no, that's insane, it's crazy. Of course this isn't murder.
These sorts of pro-abortion arguments are they're very weird to me, like bizarre.
Well, that's my whole argument
so
right here.
Up. And the thing is, what is up with this? Now, there are, exceptions, like Christopher Hitchens was a pro-life atheist, and Albany Rose is a pro-life atheist, etc. But what is up with all these pro-abortion atheists? Like, what gives with this?
Well, I don't know, for example, but the whole point is that he's saying that I can easily argue this against Messianic Manic using his own logic against him. if you are, arguing against what this nut job is saying in his video is everything is murder, if you're arguing against or don't agree with his argument, but then the title of your video says everything is murder, so clearly you must agree. I mean, I can easily use that against him. You shouldn't really judge a video by the title. You should really look for the information and the research in it. And I put a few in my description below. Furthermore, with this line of thinking, it's ridiculous. Anyway, go ahead, Johan.
Huh? Oh, no. I was just mentioning.
Oh, sorry. Anything to say to Deflating Atheism?
No, I'm good.
All right, then. Anyways, let's continue on here.
The video is just hammering out this straw man, and at times they quote mine what I said. Like the part where I said perhaps the disbelief of atheists is the result of hatred towards a creator. Now, if you notice, I did not say this is definitely true, and I did not say a study I cited concluded this.
What you did do was title the video in which this speculation appears, "Is Atheism a Delusion?" which pretty strongly implies that you think it is, and that the papers you cite corroborate that suspicion.
The Messianic Manic also responded with a short 3-minute video.
Ivy always mentions how short my videos are. Listen, asshole, I only need 3 minutes because I'm so intense.
That's another thing I want to talk about. It's not just his videos are short, they don't have any good arguments in them. That's more the point, really.
Yeah, they don't have, I mean, I like short arguments, but I don't like it when they're using brevity as an excuse to avoid,
right,
a proper understanding of the issue.
Well, that's my big thing, and I'm eventually gonna get back to making like my 6th response to TMM. But he drops so many points. If it's inconvenient to him, he simply drops it. So you can't, when you make a response, you can't simply respond to his last video. You're going to have to dig back like 5 or 6 videos to pick up all the threads that he dropped. Maybe that's why his videos are so short, because he keeps dropping points that the other guy makes.
There's another thing I think the reason they're short too. The average YouTuber usually watches a YouTube video for about 4 or 6 minutes. I mean, a lot of people can watch longer ones, but for the average person to watch on here for more views, it's usually having shorter videos. I think that's why he also has a lot of views, first of all, because they're so short. Matter of fact, when he first made the response to us on our first podcast, it was 10 minutes long. I'm like, I was actually kind of excited. Oh, maybe he'll ask our objections to it and ask our questions. But no, he just used circle reasoning. He constantly used straw man. He just pulled every trick out of the book. It was just ridiculous and didn't even answer any of our questions. I think that's the reason why he never made a response to our second one, because we had scientific papers to show that no, actually, women given abortion is actually worse for them because it increased suicidal tendency. If a woman actually goes through birth, it actually decreases. It's much better. I don't think he had nothing to respond to that. And I actually had an argument with Messianic Man about this question a lot of times, but people I think are now realizing this, it's ridiculousness lately. Also, I had an argument to make from that everyone's saying he's not, Inspiring Philosophy isn't clear on his video of atheism is a delusion. It should have said that no, a lot of people argue that should have been claimed differently. But I don't see how it could have been. He said that atheism is unnatural, and everyone keeps skipping that. And just to clarify this, I actually made an argument with someone about this. I told someone, explain to me what's inside of blood, what makes up blood, And someone looked over and said, well, what constitutes what makes up blood would be red blood cells, white blood cells, plasma. And I interrupted him saying, no, there's no plasma in there. I mean, if that's true, the blood would be boiling and it could kill the person. It's not ionized plasma. And he said, well, I'm not talking about the ionized gas that's comprised of free protons and scattering ion electrons everywhere. I'm talking about the colorless fluid that goes in the blood. And my response was, oh, well, then you should have been more clear. Therefore, your argument fails. You see how ridiculous that is? All right. Anyways, I just get tired of this where people constantly do this to just so many of these people who work hard on these channels. Like you, Deflating Atheism and Johan, I'm just really amazed and appalled by this. And no one sees this. It's just, I think most of, Messianic Man's fans, I think most of them really just think the way he does, that they want this to be true, or they just like his way of funding. I find that a lot of atheist channels have a lot of support and a lot of buttons on them. Their videos are high quality.
This is that TMM is not outwardly stupid and obnoxious like someone like Cult of Dusty is, or someone like Bionic Dances. He at least puts up an appearance of being at least a little sophisticated, but he's really not. And his fanboys are as snotty and obnoxious as anyone. They know nothing about philosophy. They know nothing about science. All they know is what they get from suckling at his teeth, basically. If he says the sky is green, you can bet that his fanboys are going to go around braying that the sky is green.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He actually made a response to someone called Life Cycle that was trying to compare him to William Lane Craig over a video that Mesa Mag is saying that William Lane Craig is a hypocrite because he was saying that even though if you find evidence or proof that God didn't exist, he would still believe in it, and call him the bad faith of William Craig. Then someone did a video on Mesa Mag called the bad face of TMM. And
what I believe you're referring to is when someone asked William Lane Craig if he gave him a time machine and he could go back and see that the resurrection did not exist. William Lane Craig said that he would sooner believe that was a hallucination than that the resurrection did not occur. So yeah, it's not being confronted with proof that God does not exist.
So what was his reason for that? Was that it was magic essentially?
Mesa Mac is trying to show that William Lane Craig's not a good philosopher, and then someone made a video response to Mesa Mac saying that Mesa Mac's claiming that even though if abortion was proven to be morally wrong, he's not capable of just being right.
Yeah, that's why he shouldn't be capable of voting either. That right there is what's Plato actually mentioned this. He had in his Republic, he mentioned there were three kinds of people. There were the philosophers who were motivated by wisdom, the soldier class, which was motivated by honor, and the worker class, they were motivated by pleasure. Well, I don't know what TMM is motivated. It's not honorable to reject what's right?
Well,
but
no,
he's not motivated. He's not motivated by honor. If he was honorable, he would be looking for what the right thing was to do. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And he can't be motivated by wisdom either. Now, maybe Plato missed some other categories. Maybe he was motivated by something else. But the point is if you're not motivated towards what's true, Plato was very critical of democracy for precisely this reason. Because he knew there were people that were not motivated, that were not interested in the truth or in what was right. They wanted to do. They would prefer something over those things, and if that they ever came into there was a conflict of interest, they'd be voting for that in the democracy.
All right.
Even if it was a bad thing, because they were. So the point is right there. Messianic Manic should not be voting in elections because he doesn't have the sort of. Granted, he's Canadian, so he's not voting in American elections, but.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have different things over there, command different politics, stuff like that.
Yeah, but the point. Yeah, I mean, they have Trudeau is rather disgusting as a politician, but
that's actually a good question to bring up. Mesa Mac talks a lot about American politics.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Canadian politics is ridiculous. They basically enshrine political correctness there.
Yeah. And
you can't even speak against it in some places. It's absurd.
Maybe that's
anyway. The point is if you're motivated towards something bad and you're trying to legislate that, right? Because you're not interested in wisdom or honor as the top two classes in Plato's Republic would have. You're going to be interested in something else, and it's going to be over those two things, and therefore it's going to have bad governance. Okay, so if you have people voting in your elections that are wanting those things, you have bad governance. That right there is an argument against both unlimited democracy and arguments against people like the Messianic Manic voting.
All right, okay. I want
Messianic. When I heard that, my first thought was, you just proved me right about how bad democracy, or unrestricted democracy anyway, is. A more limited Republican democracy is different, but unrestricted democracy, no.
All right. I actually want to get back to what I was saying before. He made a response to the life cycle and was saying that no. He said that if I'm not capable of being right, he's saying that I would acknowledge that I'm wrong, but I would still want abortion to be right, even if it was objectively immoral. He instead
you can't reason
I
with
would.
That.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. he's saying that I would embrace my own immorality. And even some of his fans or some people comment on his video actually said, didn't think he did a good job. At least he's admitting he doesn't think logically.
Yeah, at least he's being honest about that. But that was a very excellent thing to demonstrate the failure of democracy and addressing that kind of problem.
Well, how come no one's like making arguments to Mesomex saying you should have been more clear in your other video, you know, like they're doing to Inspiring Philosophy right now? Because I could never understand his other one. He has a right to explain himself, okay, and I'm glad he did. Regardless if he's right or wrong, I'm actually glad that he explained himself. But it's just ridiculous. I even had an argument with him in comment section because if he's saying that abortion is objectively wrong to do, he would still do it. Does that mean he's fine with killing a fetus if it actually is a human being with personhood, and if he actually accepts that, he would still go with it? That's just really dangerous thinking right there.
Yeah, that's why you should not be having people like that voting.
Well, I'm surprised people like him have jobs making these videos and having all these fans. I'm like, geesh.
I mean, it's like saying, it's like a someone during the 1840s saying, you know, if they were to admit there was no sound justification for slavery, but they wanted to have slaves anyway because it was easier for their plantation.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is it's so easy to turn this around since atheists are a minority group. We can say, well, it's just more convenient for us to take away the voting rights of atheists. I don't care if it's immoral. I don't care if they're objectively citizens. You could just take that whole that our convenience determines truth and just turn it around on any group, like you know.
He's a moral. Hasn't the Messianic Manic argued for moral relativism on his channel anyway?
I don't know for certain. I know he's a non-cognitivist. He doesn't believe that morality can exactly exist. It's all subjective to him. He's also an atheist, saying that the idea of God is very hard to explain and it's nearly impossible because you can't comprehend it and it wouldn't work in our world. He also says that you need space and time to make something, and if this is something outside of space and time,
he actually said you need space and time to make something, or has he said that
a really old video? Yeah.
No, that yes, you need that, or is it simply that he doesn't know if it's possible?
He's saying that you need.
Doesn't imagine it. Okay, because he has said in other videos when kind of clarified. I mean, it's kind of a cop out when he does it with because technically, yes, in some of his more recent videos anyway, he didn't say that stuff outside space and time doesn't exist, just that he couldn't imagine it, right?
Well, yeah, he contradicts himself.
But the point is, it's kind of stupid anyway when we have all these scientists talking about stuff being outside space-time, right? I mean, obviously, it's a very real thing. He can't deny that there is something outside space-time because all these scientists are, that's the consensus in quantum gravity. There is stuff outside space-time. So
as well as by a logical deduction from philosophical arguments.
Yeah, I know. But even if you were to reject all that, it's not even up for debate. People reject philosophy all the time, especially atheists. But the last thing an atheist should do, I mean, they're supposedly, framing themselves as the champions of science. They can't go rejecting an entire scientific consensus.
Right. Well, that's because materialism is not science; it's a dogma.
Well, yeah, it can't be science. Matter is spatially extended, and if there's no space, then matter doesn't exist.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I want you on here, Johan, for the end of the video. I actually talked to you over about this with some.
Oh yeah, I recall.
Right. But yeah, I think I got the idea of what atheist means. That they don't think that God is impossible because everything that people describe as God is impossible and cannot exist. I think that's what the definition of atheist means, but I could be wrong. Anyways, let's get back to the video here.
This is what you would expect from him. He makes the same equivocation fallacies and uses the same flaws. The only thing of value he tries is to claim theism is a result of hyperactive agent detection. This is a neurological function where we assume there is agency, where it may not actually be. He cites Daniel Dennett, who has suggested this is where theism arose from. But the problem is this simply doesn't work for traditional theistic beliefs, and he doesn't give any scientific evidence to support its connection.
The HADD is just one example of the many cognitive biases that may explain religious belief. It is by no means the only one, and you say as much in your earlier video.
Now, I want to stop right there. He's saying that the HADD is just one example, but IP debunked it in his response video, so it can't be one of those examples to explain religious beliefs. it's trying to say that it was product of evolution for people to believe in like ghosts and spirits and stuff like that. But what IP did in his video, he debunked it, saying no, it can't explain religious beliefs in a god or an afterlife. There's no scientific evidence to back it up. So what Messianic Mac does, he tries to quote something that Inspired Philosophy says and try to say, he says in his earlier video, so he's like contradicting himself.
Ian Bloom concluded our cognitive biases make us prone and receptive to religious ideas.
This is precisely the point I was making. If theistic beliefs are the result of natural biases, then natural explanations for theistic beliefs are better than explanations involving woo.
Right. Now, first of all, I want to point this out.
Replay that. Go back.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Here.
Concluded our cognitive biases make us prone and receptive to religious ideas.
This is precisely the point I was making. If theistic beliefs are the result of natural biases, then natural explanations for theistic beliefs are better than explanations involving woo.
People
Right.
Okay, pause it, go back.
Go back and pause what he says right here.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I have a natural explanation for theistic beliefs. And the reason for that is I have a natural explanation for God. I can natural, in the conventional term, is it's something that can be explained scientifically. Well, conscious realism is a scientific theory. Whether or not it's true, it's a scientific theory, right?
Right.
And I can derive God, or I can even derive the Trinity from that, the integrated triad. You saw that video. So yeah, I have a completely naturalistic explanation for God. So why is that? It's not a dichotomy. It's not like it's natural or it's not. I have a natural explanation for God. It doesn't involve woo, unless he's calling science woo or something. Often science woo.
Well, this just seems like he's pulling it out of his ass because he's not giving any research or evidence. He's trying to take something of what Inspired Philosophy said and try to work with and trying to mess with what he's trying to say. Inspired Philosophy is saying that we're prone to these beliefs, all right? That does not mean they create them, all right? We are prone to them. Prone meaning that where it's likely to happen. I mean, you could be prone to something. Doesn't mean it's going to cause it or affect it in a way. It's just crazy how this happens. I mean, TMM needs to show how being prone to theism creates our beliefs, but he gives no evidence on that. IP didn't say that it just creates our beliefs, that it's prone to it, and they're very different definitions of words, what they mean. This is really sad. Now he has to go off IP, what he said, but he got no evidence for it, and he didn't even mention how Inspired Philosophy, debunked him on his last one. He just goes off and do something like this. Anyways, go ahead, Johan.
I made my point. I was.
How about you, Deflating Atheism?
Nope, just keep playing the video.
Well, it's just weird that, it says that we're prone to theism beliefs. That doesn't mean we will accept it. It doesn't create our beliefs. If you are prone to something, that doesn't mean it caused your beliefs in the first place. That's common sense right there.
Yeah, and we could also speculate that there are all sorts of ulterior motives that may make a person prone to atheist belief, but that we're not going to try to invalidate atheism on that basis.
Right,
So,
exactly.
He's leaving himself wide open to a turnabout.
Well, yeah, let's use that argument against him. That's a great argument. Good job. See, this is exactly what I'm trying to say right here. Now, Messianic,
like for instance, believing that the personhood of a fetus is greatly inconveniencing to you may make you prone to being pro-choice.
Okay, I guess that obviously means it creates it then.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to answer this, all right? Do you have any evidence to show that what Inspired Philosophy was saying, that it creates our beliefs, that being prone to this creates our beliefs? Do you have any evidence? If not, then you're not doing that good of a job, all right? I'm sorry I have to say that. Anyways, here we go.
Are better than explanations involving woo.
People often ask why I do not address a lot of response videos. Well, I think this video points out why. Generally, when someone like this guy responds to me, he does it by taking what I said out of context, or just making things up I never said.
He's talking about the time I called him out for saying that quarks are not matter. I most certainly did not make things up. He said this in an early draft of a response to one of my other videos. His exact words were, "Quarks are not matter, they are postulated entities that make up matter. So they are not matter, but something other that would be a component of matter." In fact, after I pointed out that his assertion that quarks are not matter is horseshit, he wrote this on his blog. Unfortunately, someone who asked to read this an early draft of this reply mistakenly posted it to his page, and TMM posted a response to an early draft I had. He eventually realized that he was wrong about quarks and took this bit out of the final draft of his response. But when I said he made this assertion, I certainly didn't make things up, and he knows I didn't make this up. He knows exactly where he said that quarks are not matter. He later changed his story from "this was in an earlier draft" to "I never said this." Compare the early draft I received to the final draft. I've put the words both have in common in red. He changed his claim from "you can't say quarks are matter" to "you can't say quarks consist of matter," which, by the way, is also fucking wrong.
Right. Now, I've talked to IP about this, actually, and I want to talk to him what the whole situation was going on with this. And he told and claimed to me that Leo was actually the guy that accidentally posted this up by accident. He said Leo wanted to ask him if he could read one of his earlier drafts on what he's making on Messianic Manic. He said that would be fine to do that, and after that, I think after quite a bit of reading it, he posted back saying that if there's any way he could like post it on his channel. And Foster was typing and said, sure, that would be fine. He also was mentioning out that he said that he also needs to spell check this. And eventually he also sent another message after that saying that, but wanted him to wait before he posted it on his channel. And when I heard about this, it actually makes sense when I was talking to Leo before, because he also says that he altered some what IP said, and he made changes on there. And I was wondering, but weren't you not supposed to post it in IP, tell you not to do that? And he said that he already read those messages already, that he immediately posted online and pretty much went to bed. And I'm thinking, oh, wait a second. He sent another message like do you ever get those messages someone send you, and then like 2 minutes later they'll send you another message? I think he did it immediately right after the first two and forgot to mention that other second one, so that made sense. At least I think that's how it went, what happened. Leo claims that he changed it, and he also talked. Didn't he talk to this with you about this, Johan? John.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So what's his side of the story? If I'm not getting this right, but he said that he made alterations to it because he thought he wanted to spell check it for him, and then changed some of it. It also said Leo said he wanted to do this because whenever he was
okay.
Yeah.
There's a little story behind that. Leo was working for IP at the time.
Okay.
And Leo, this is kind of unfortunate. IP was actually very unhappy with him for this for a bit. He put that was Leo, TMM, that was Leo putting that in there, and IP was, Well, IP didn't want that published, actually. He wanted to edit that. It was Leo that wrote that in there, and I think.
Leo wrote that in there. He said that he changed that. And he told Messianic this, but Messianic doesn't believe him that he edited that. And I asked him why he was going to edit this. He was also been said that he wants to that whenever he takes words from inspired philosophy when he's making arguments between atheists, he said he's done this before, where he would just go back and forth on like comment section, argue this, and he's done this with Messianic a few times. Inspired philosophy told him that it would be nice if you just make some of it, change some of it, so it wouldn't be exactly a copy and paste from his words. And I think that's what Leo was trying to do in this situation. But if he's admitting that, and he said this, he admitted to Messianic he made those changes. It wasn't from inspired philosophy. And after he made those videos, he actually went back to IP and actually told him about this. So I really don't understand. This seems like a really big mess right here. The whole situation, what's going on. Because when IP's told me that right now that he doesn't care, actually. Matter of fact, when Leo got back to him, like after this whole situation happens, he said, oh, well, so Messianic wasn't lying, that it was actually Leo who actually changed those on purpose. Okay, well, this should be easy to set out. But here's the thing, Leo said, telling me that Messianic doesn't believe him, that he thinks this is something that IP did wrote, and he keeps telling him over and over again that I didn't. And Leo went back and checked to see if it was anything he correct was changing from that, and he changed that. There's actually other things he changed in it too, actually, about how Messianic was using Arkham razors wrong, and he changed some of the wording on that too. There's also a little bit about the whole article is about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, how Messianic Man was making poor arguments against that, which is what the entire whole thing, the whole point of the argument was in the first place. But he keeps focusing on this courts thing. And no matter how many times Leo was telling me that, no matter how many times he tries to convince Messianic Man, he just wouldn't believe him, whatever he said. He just kept asking, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? It's like, I did. And it's like saying, why doesn't IP mention this on his blog page? Well, I didn't tell him until now, right then. Well, why doesn't he change his blog crazy? Which, now thinking about it, I think he's just making an excuse just to make IP look bad. And I think that's where Messianic is lying. See, Leo changed that. He made an alteration. He told Messianic, but Messianic saying, oh, I could just lie about this and say IP made something wrong and make him look dumb, even though it's not true. I think Messianic's aware of the changes. It's Leo's fault. But he's not. He's just going to say he doesn't believe that just to make IP look bad. And look, when I first heard of this, I thought, maybe, I don't know who's telling the truth or not, I mean, for sake of argument, let's say Messianic's right, Even that's the case, the whole entire article was about debunking Messianic's argument on the resurrection. He made videos claiming that Jesus had no tomb, or, the resurrection was probably some conspiracy. And Smart Philosophy is trying to explain that. In his videos, he explained this, and it's not true. And he was making an article about this, even when Messianic wasn't using the term Occam's razor, right? Which he wasn't. And this whole thing just seems like a big mess right here, just complete big mess. But Inspired Philosophy doesn't care about it. He told me that, hey, listen, he can say he's lying until he's blue in the face. I mean, he doesn't have any evidence for it. And I was pointing out, well, technically he had something you said before in a draft, and he was telling me, well, yeah, but Leo wrote that draft, and he actually admitted Leo copied that draft, but he admitted that he altered some of it. He told that. Is he going to believe him? Like, well, no. Well, then he's still lying. I mean, that's what he wants to believe, but it's just he knows that Leo changed that, and he's not going to believe that. And I couldn't find all the bits of it because Leo actually deleted some of it. Leo was pretty really felt bad for doing this when I asked him when IP told him not to post this up or too soon. He did. It just seems like a whole big mess what happened here. But one thing I want to know about, I would actually be on IP's and Leo's side, because I'm not saying this because of Messianic on this. I mean, I'm saying this because Messianic has shown in this video he's dishonest. He doesn't do any good evidence or research at all. So I'm going to be on their side. I think Messianic might be lying in this case. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he is. He's just doing this petty thing just to make IP look bad. And the only reason I brought this up because it's just part of the video, I guess. But it's just strange how this happened. Not to mention, I don't think it matters. I mean, quarks consist of matter, made of matter. I've talked to Mike about this, and Mike says that it is possible that quarks could be made of matter since they have inertia and mass, but it also could be just energy too. We don't know what's inside of quarks. And anyways, Johanan, I wanted to talk to you about that. Is that true from what the scientific evidence research says?
Quarks are, okay, when they talk about being made of matter, it's a kind of colloquial term. Like, you can say made of matter in the same way that, say, like an electron is a quote, material particle, unquote. We use that because that's what it looks like. That's how we treat it as a practical matter. But quarks obey quantum mechanics just like electrons do, okay? And therefore, the violation of Liggins inequalities applies to quarks just as much as it does to electrons or protons or anything else. Okay?
All right.
Just quantum mechanics. If it has mass, quantum mechanics applies to it, and quantum mechanics is telling us that matter doesn't exist. So, basically when you see an electron or a quark for that matter, all you're seeing is an image of a particle, not a particle itself.
Oh, right, because there's fuzziness. It's not.
Yeah, and moreover, not only is there fuzziness, but the properties don't even exist before you look at them.
Right, that's the evidence to the double slit experiment, correct?
Yeah. But that's the double slit, that's the beginning of it. But, there's more Bell's inequalities and so on and so forth after that.
Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah. And, yeah, this whole thing, well, I think we're going off topic here about this whole thing to this, I think eventually people are going to wise up and ask Messianic about, say, where's the comment that IP said this? Oh, it's right here. Well, wait, Leo posted that comment. It's like, oh, yeah, well, it came from IP. It's like, well, didn't he say that he changed some of it? Well, yeah, but he was lying. I mean, he doesn't have the evidence to prove that he was lying in the first place. It's like when the Rational Channel accused IP to editing his Atheism and Delusion video, even though they had no evidence of it. Anyways, but so far I want to show in this video that Messianic Manic doesn't do any research, anything good. This is another fail completely, just waste of time. Anything to say, Deflate Atheism?
Nope.
Nothing?
Got it.
I thought you might want to say a little bit more. Anything, John?
No, I'm pretty good.
All right, then. I guess that's it pretty much. But yeah, so if Johan, are you challenging Messianic to a debate, and he should have no reason to...
Yep, on the existence of God.
All right. You know, I think he likes to talk things in a comics because a comment section because people don't read them that much. I think people react to watching videos more. So the reason I found that in the comments section was a bit baffling to me. But still, I mean, it shows that he's unreasonable. He doesn't think logically. I mean, I want people to know that. That's the main point, the reason I made this video, so people can know that. It's also, Deflate Atheism, you know he made videos to you. Like, how many videos did he make in response in a row? 4, 5?
There are like 6 videos there, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, he also did some on Tecton TV. Like, he made response videos to him, and then Tecton TV, like, made tons of response videos to him, too, which... I've noticed as well, it's just getting really crazy with this, but I think people are wise enough to seeing he's just pretty much a liar. But what are you guys' thoughts on this video he made? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, just in general, it's like he's going up against Tecton TV. I mean, James Patrick Holding is a very astute scholar, so. TMM knows nothing about history. He knows nothing about science, and he's going up against people who actually know science. He's just basically bullshitting his way through the whole thing.
Right, yeah. I meant this video, actually, specifically.
Yeah.
Specifically. Like, his response to IP. What do you make of this? Pretty much bullshit?
Yeah.
Same with you, Johan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I don't like it when he also insults people. It's very rude and disrespectful. He's just like a lot of atheists where he mocks people. I don't think he's the worst because there's probably 1 or 2 things I could say that. One, I appreciate his older videos. I think he was better in his older videos. And he does add a bit of style to his channels and to his thumbnails to his videos, the covers of it.
Well, like I was saying, I mean, he's not outwardly just obnoxious and stupid like Cult of Dusty or someone like that. He gives the appearance of being a little sophisticated, but that just makes his stupidity all the more insidious, you know?
Right. That's very true. Yeah, I would think Anti-System X is just still like is more obnoxious than this guy or anyone else right here. Messianic more annoying that no one really cares about that much, but it just becomes a thing. And Inspired Philosophy made himself clear in his video discussion, and he gave evidence for atheism being unnatural. You know, so it's just I think this only proves IP's point correctly. You know, no matter what we do, we will never convince these stubborn atheists because they want to believe what they want to believe.
Oh,
they want
obvious. It's obvious, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what needs to be done is to bypass them entirely. Like, as a cultural force, you need to, the average person, they're going to listen to apologetics, they're going to think it's like, okay, that's just, religious stuff, whatever. But what needs to be done is to promote the immaterialist implications of quantum mechanics and just plain regular science popularizing exercises.
Right.
And promote the metaphysical implications of that, and then promote, the philosophy of mind that points out that, the hard problem pretty much refutes materialist accounts of the mind.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think Inspired Philosophy is ever going to debate you, Johan. I mean, he knows.
You mean the Messianic Manic?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Messianic Manic. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that. I don't think he's ever going to debate you because he knows he's not going to win. I mean, he doesn't give that much evidence, and when he tries to, it just fails all the time. And no doubt he's probably going to make a response to this. I mean, maybe not. If he does, I might make a response, but I'm not too certain. I really don't care that much. I'm surprised he didn't make a response to our second podcast, in response.
He might not simply because I challenged him to a debate.
Right. Because
that'd be
right,
funny if
but
that happened.
I'm sorry, what was that?
That'd be funny if that happened.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know, but it would be interesting to see have a debate with you two, but I doubt it's gonna happen. I mean, could you have like a debate in the comment section? Is that possible?
Maybe, but that doesn't really have the same kind of feel to it. I mean,
Yeah, no, you have to get him in
you can respond whenever you want, and it takes forever to.
Right.
I was gonna say it's not much better than responding through videos, because you have to get him in a position where you can hold his feet to the fire. Otherwise, he's just going to drop any point that's inconvenient to him, because he's notorious for that.
Doesn't he do that in his response videos already, though?
Yeah, if you nail him on anything, he'll just forget it and just drop it, and then just change the subject. Or
maybe he won't make a response to this one because we nail him on a subject here.
Yeah.
I mean, him saying, misquoting inspired philosophy, the key word unnatural, and Leo Stockwell trying to show him this, and he's denying it, shows that, he's lied. He's misrepresenting inspired philosophy. And I think it backs up inspired philosophy's evidence, because when I first saw inspired philosophy's videos, I actually thought maybe he's right. Maybe this Meson Max stuff, all this atheist stuff, anti-System X, as just garbage. And that's why I decided I'm going to move to theism. I mean, so Meson Max played a role in actually leading me to inspired philosophy. Yeah, but I think that pretty much wraps it up right here. But he also mentioned he doesn't want to do debates because anyone can just yell out, like, say bullshit, and you can't research it, when you're in debate. That's one of his arguments he made on another video he made. It was in response to someone talk about they want to see a debate with him and on inspiring philosophy. And
well, I mean, that's always a danger when you're doing a live debate, that someone is gonna try to gobsmack you with something that's maybe completely fatuous, but they'll get you knock you off balance or something. That's always a risk in a debate. But I mean, people can certainly hash that out in the comments and say that the fact or whatever was wrong somehow. But yeah, that's not really an excuse.
It's funny because he was saying this, and it didn't make more sense. He said that a lot of atheists say that debates are irrelevant, but I always try to mention, if they're irrelevant, then why do professional scientists and philosophers have them all the time? Yeah.
Well, no, the reason that he was paranoid that someone would do that to him is because that's his strategy. He doesn't want it used against him. He wants to be the one using it.
And doesn't he do videos where he looks over people's debates too, where he talks about them? Matter of fact, I found one where Matt, I always forget this last guy's name, Matt
Dillahunty.
Yeah, him. He was in a debate with a woman about abortion, and she was presenting scientific evidence to show that fetus is actually considered to actually be a part of the woman's body, actually to be alive, and all the scientific evidence. Basically what IP argued. And someone from the crowd, saying that, even someone was they were handing a microphone to someone in a crowd, and it's telling him, saying, even though what your scientific evidence says that, it's still bullshit, and everyone applauded him, and she was just standing there trying to argue against these crowd people, these atheists. I'm that doesn't...
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Well, and I'm saying, I mean, a group of, young Earth creationists could say evolution.
That's where atheists get that kind of thing is where atheists get the stereotype of being immortal from.
Well, yeah.
I don't like to stereotype people, but that's where that stereotype comes from.
Well, it amazes me.
Sadly to say, there's an element of truth to it.
Yeah. I mean, an evolutionist could be arguing in a debate, and then one person in the crowd saying, "Well, it's bullshit," and all the young Earth creationists could be clapping their hands saying, "Ooh, that doesn't mean they won." I mean, that just
it just means you got a bunch of retards in the audience.
Right.
That's every episode of Bill Maher. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for now. I mean, if Meson Man wants to make it, he probably won't, but I mean, we'll see what happens. The next podcast I'm going to do is the Rational Channel on near-death experience, so it's going to be a fun one. Might take me a while to get that down, but if I do make that video after New Year's, maybe around February, would any of you want to come along on that?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Anything left to talk about?
I'm fine.
All right, then. Thank you for thank you guys for coming on here. Thank you to Flame Atheism. Thank you for Johanan. And viewers, tune in next time where we'll be doing another response on the Rational Channel. Right. Anyways, see you later. Bye.
Good night.
Take care.